Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for another match of Super Rugby. This one, the Highlanders taking on the Drua down south in Dunedin. Definitely a different temperature to what we're used to seeing for the Fijian Drua games, but they are still chasing their first away win of the season, and it's almost the most important time for them to be able to do so. At the moment, the way that the table sits, the Drua are in 8th, but that gap between them and the sides below is slowly starting to get a little bit smaller. The Highlanders, if they win this game, simply, they are through to the next stage of the competition. They will be in the quarterfinals no matter what happens in their game up against the Hurricanes. Next week for the Drua, they have got a home game up against the Rebels in only around 6 days' time. That one will be an extremely crucial one for whether or not they will be making their way through to the quarterfinals, although a big win here would almost guarantee a spot for the Fijian Drua, and then the Highlanders are actually the side on the chopping block that could get knocked out. So pretty much whoever wins this game secures themselves a spot, you would think. And even if they don't win this game, they still have a very good chance of making it through to the quarterfinals. But looking through at the starting lineup, first of all, for the Highlanders, they have got themselves Ethan de Groot, Henry Bell, and Jermaine Ainsley as the front row, with Mitchell Dunshay and Fabian Holland in the locking duo. Ollie Haig at 6, Sean Withy at 7, who's been in some fantastic form, and Billy Harmon returns into the starting lineup as the number 8. Bilal Pakatava and also Faliafanga will get his first start in quite some time. They've had a few problems. Cam Miller was solving them, but now, unfortunately, he is out. So it means that Faliafanga will be the man who does need to step up. Sam Gilbert and Jake Tahiwi in the midfield, with Yona Nariki, Tamuthi Tavatava Nawai, and also Jacob Ratamaitabuki Netkins there at number 15. Then, looking through at the starting lineup for the Fijian Drua, Haroi Kunoi Duadua is there at number 1, Ikanaveri at 2, and Masaki Dongai as the Taihe Pro, Vufi Vufi and Sila Sila as the locking duo, with Antonio Wanga, Kitioni Salawa, who I actually did pick in my top 5 sevens throughout Super Rugby Pacific. I think the fact that he has beaten, I believe he's up to about 27 defenders now. He's just been a very, very impressive player. And Ilya Thonakai Vata hasn't been looking too bad over the last few weeks either. Simeone Kuravuli still gets a start, and Nine Lamani becomes eligible to play again next week. So the question is, do they put him straight into that role, or do they instead go with the man who's been playing very well, Simeone Kuravuli? Armstrong Ravula will be at 10, with Kimu Valentini and Osefo Masi making up the midfield. Apeli Momo, Celestino Ravatamanda, and Eliza Drua Sisi as the back 3. In the chat, we have got there, good to have rugby on a Sunday, says Novmum. Yeah, I'm a little bit confused at why they don't do it more often, to be honest. Like, a lot of people love themselves a Sunday afternoon game of rugby, plus it takes a little bit of the strain off a Saturday. Normally in Super Rugby we have 4 games taking place back to back to back, and don't get me wrong, like, it's always a fun time, but you'd think that if they had the opportunity to space out the games a little bit more, they would, just for the sake of being able to make it a little bit easier to watch all the games in a weekend. But then at the same time, I guess with travel schedules, they probably have to make sure everyone is finished by the same stage so that everyone can get to their next locations. And speaking of the next location, away from home, the Hurricanes is the next challenge for the Highlanders. But if they win this game, they'll secure their spot in the quarterfinals. So that is, of course, the first task that they are after in this matchup. And Highlanders 28-12. Says Dees, good morning all. Says Panther Blaze on Highlanders by 14. Says Jason Tosu Drua Tosu. And cheering for the draw, but I think the Highlanders will take it, says Davida. And I think that something that's going to be, I guess, a big deciding factor is, first of all, how Faliafanga is going to be playing at number 10. And then I also do believe the discipline of the Fijian Drua is the other thing that is being looked at under the microscope here. I haven't Apasalomi Vota. I believe he ended up with an injury a few weeks ago, which is why he is not there for this contest. But hopefully we do get to see the man back if the Fijian Drua make it through to the quarterfinals. Hopefully he'll be back. Oh, actually, he might be out for a little bit longer now that I think about it. I stayed up for this. Fingers crossed it's worth it. Hashtag Tosa Drua says a Fiji Islander. And yeah, hopefully the game does make it worth your while. It is going to be an electric one. The Highlanders before this game have talked about not falling into the trap of playing rugby like the Fijian Drua do, and that is pretty much that free-flowing nature. They've mentioned they want to try and keep territory and position both in their favour and just control this game. But a lot of teams have said that, and then they play up against the Fijian Drua, and it's a whole different story. But Armstrong Ravula will be the man to kick this one off from left to right to keep their hopes alive here. The Fijian Drua. They have kicked off, nicely taken by the Highlanders just outside of their 22. So there was already a little bit of wrestling going on between Henry Bell and Kitione Salawa, and we were only 15 seconds into the contest. 28-12 says Pads ablaze. Now nicely taken by the Highlanders. Like Harmon playing halfback goes across to Falau Fakatavu's in his 50th game now. Gilbert looking for the kick in behind, playing some territory. Well cleaned up by Armstrong Ravula, fires it across to Eliza Drua Sisi. It looks like the Fijian Drua want to run this one back from inside of their own 22. Has that been called as a maul? It might have been. And yeah, Sean Withy has actually managed to get the turnover there for the Highlanders. Fakatava going back across to Jacob Ratamaita Buki Nepkins. Now slinging pass out wide for Jonah Nariki. Great to see that man back in this Highlanders side. I believe that is actually... Who would that be for? I mean, it could be for Connor Garden Bishop. Out on that way. Oh, that's a nice charge down there. They've also had Bogado out there more recently, so they're having a few switches on that left wing. Pakatava with a sniping run around the side of the breakdown. 40 metres out from the line. Highlanders still in possession. Henry Bell on across to the left-hand side. Now, I should mention, it is being played in Dunedin. An afternoon game, probably around 10 degrees, maybe 9 degrees Celsius at the moment. No wind chill, though, inside of Forsyth Barr. Paliafanga kicks it high towards the 22. Big shot coming in from Jonah Nariki. Now counter ruck, and Mitchell Dunshay has got it in the hands for the Landers. Akatava going across now to the right-hand side. Gilbert, ball on the outside to Sean Whiffy. Flicks it on the inside to Henry Bell. 10 metres out now. Drua having a scramble to try and make all of their tackles, but that is the knock-on from Jake Tahiwi. No pressure on him either. It was just pretty much him running with the ball. Ends up putting it down in the end. Now the Drua, they will try and exit from inside of their 22, which can sometimes be easier said than done. Charge down from the Highlanders, but they will go back for the original knock-on now. And it will be the scrum feed for the Drua. But a lot of pressure coming early on from this Highlanders side, trying to trap the Drua inside of their 22. It was a great shot from Jonah Nariki initially off the kick that we did see. 3 minutes in at the moment. So Forsyth Barr, it's not completely full, but there are quite a few people in attendance for this contest, which is fantastic to see. The pack weight's 902 kgs for the Highlanders compared to the 879 kgs of the Fijian Drua. So a bit of a decisive difference between the two sides, around that 23 kg mark. But like they've just mentioned, the Fijian Drua the best scrum in the competition. And that is a massive push though from the Highlanders, but they came in on the angle. I think Kuravili, he wanted to take that one quickly. Ethan Agru is not happy about it. There's one thing you will learn about front rowers is they never like being told that they were the reason a penalty was awarded. No matter how many times it happens, no matter how obvious it is, if you tell a front rower you're the reason the penalty happened, they will get angry 9 times out of 10. Probably 10 out of 10, in fact. Armstrong Ravula now has boot that one into touch down towards the halfway line. Yeah, we can see there Ethan de Groot, one of his legs just going a little bit out to the side there. Then he ended up with it slightly wheeling away. The draw now with Davida Ikanaveri. Going to be throwing this one in, nicely taken by Vofi. He slotted into that 4 jersey pretty well because initially he was actually playing in the loose forward trio for the Fijian Drua. The start of the season due to other injuries though. We did see him transition to 4 Off to the right-hand side now. Drua CC went for the risky offload. Referee says it's gone backwards. Now, short side, Armstrong Ravula's gone through his hands. Chipping behind. Ravatamunda chasing after it, but Jacob Ratamaita Buki Nepkins is the man who gets his hand to it. Now again going short side. Fala Fakatava off to Jona Nariki. They've got space to work with. Beautiful pass on the inside to Falau Fakatava, who gets back up to his feet. He's eventually wrestled down by the Fijian Drua defence. Now sniping run from Jona Nariki. Ethan the group, big shot on him by Masaki Donge. Hemi says that Spider-Meg, welcome in. How about them Blues? No, sorry. Had to do it. But now Fala Fakatava. Going back across to the right-hand side. Jacob Ratamaita, Vuki Netkins. Fakatava. Again going across to Fabian Holland. The left-hand side. Ethan the group, another shot on him. This time from Isoa Nasila Sila. And Antonio Wanga gets over the ball and wins that penalty. Good 0-0. Says Spider-Meg there as well. But yeah, 6 minutes in, neither of these sides being able to bust through as of yet. Now, one of the sides have been a little bit closer, you'd argue, which team must win to benefit the Crusaders to move closer to 8 spots, says Cherise. So pretty much the Highlanders have got the Hurricanes next week. And so that means that if the Highlanders lose this game up against the Drua by more than 8, and they aren't within 7 of the Hurricanes, then there's a chance the Crusaders could go above them. If the Drua lose this game, they would also have to lose their game at home up against the Rebels for the Crusaders to make it in. So even though the Crusaders had a fantastic win over the Blues, that doesn't necessarily mean that they can still make it through to that next stage, which is quite intriguing for the last round. Every game is going to mean something. Moana Pacifica, they will still feel like they've got a decent shot of making the top 8. Same with the Western Force. Now off to the right-hand side here for the Fijian Drua. They are about 45 metres out from their line. Kitioni Salawa with the clean out and the breakdown. I believe that was on Henry Bell again. I feel like they're in a little bit of a mini rivalry and Henry Bell probably doesn't even know it. Just that Kitioni Salawa has decided, you know what, you're the target for today. Now nice run onto that one from Apeli Momo. Kicking downfield. Sits up there for Jacob Ratamaita Vuki Netkins. I forgot about this game. Says, and oh yeah, it's weird having a Sunday match, isn't it? I think it's been at least like 6 or 7 weeks maybe since we had a game on Sunday. Armstrong Ravula tried to get that pass on the inside after doing a nice little chip and chase. I ask what happens if the Satyrs happen. I have a big win against Moana Pacifica. Not a huge amount, to be honest. Like, yes, they'll get the bonus point, but it's actually not necessarily enough, depending on what happens in these other games. Because theoretically, if the Highlanders were to lose this game, right, but if they lost it by less than 7, then they will receive a bonus point that puts them up to 24, which means that the Crusaders straight away need a bonus point win to even be in the running, and then the Highlanders would also have to lose their game by more than 7 points up against the Hurricanes. So until we know what's happened in this game, it's a little bit confusing. I was thinking about maybe doing a video about all of the changes that can happen in the final round, but I feel like that would also be a very confusing video to be able to explain because of how many changes can literally happen in a short period of time. But pretty much all you need to know is theoretically every side except for the Waratahs still has a chance of making the quarterfinals, including Moana Pacifica. Because if they beat the Crusaders by a decent margin and the Drua lose to the Rebels, then they will pop up. Then the Force, their game, depends on, of course, what happens there as well. And they're actually a little bit of the dark horse at the moment, the Western Force, in terms of being able to make their way through. Is it a holiday weekend in New Zealand or Australia? I don't believe so. Not that I know. I know that King's birthday weekend is next week, I think. Thanks, Charisse. And also, can the Rebels miss out somehow, or hard to tell at the moment? The Rebels, due to them getting a couple bonus points along the way, are in a position where they can no longer be knocked out of the top 8, I don't believe. Yeah, no, they can't miss out. Or, actually, there might still be a slight way. So they're on 26, right? No. I don't think it's possible for them to miss out, because theoretically one of these sides would have to receive 7 points. So yeah, the Rebels are actually, I believe, qualified as we currently sit. Even though they mentioned before only 5 sides have confirmed their spot. So it's hard to say. Force were terrible yesterday. Yeah, they looked awful in the game up against the Reds. And Paul Waratah says annoy. And right at this moment, who do you think are going to make the 7th and the 8th? At the moment, the most likely seems like it's going to be the Drua and the Highlanders. Because they are currently in there and they both have an opportunity to add a few more points in this contest. But 40 metres out from the line, Simeone Kuravuli goes up to Celestino Ravatamunda. Good tackle made on him by Billy Harmon. Is the Japanese Rugby Championship over? It is not, no. They have got, I believe, finals taking place, or at least some of the finals. Richie Mo'unga in action today in about an hour's time, going up against the side with Damien Dialendi and a whole heap of other world-class players scattered throughout there as well. The Landers and the Drua both pick up wins. That's top 8 done. Says it heads ablaze. Now, nice run forward from Ilya Thanakai-Vata, and that is a last-ditch ankle tap there from Falau Fakatava. There's the penalty advantage in favour of the Drua. Armstrong Ravula with the cross kick. The ball does not bounce favourably, and they will go back for the original penalty. It kind of shows how good Crusaders have played despite their poor position. Beat the Blues and very narrow losses to others. There's Hanoi. And yeah, like their points differential. Justin Marshall made a comment last night about how he felt like they should continue playing when they were up by 2 points up against the Blues to try and increase their points differential. But their points differential compared to everyone up until maybe 5th place is actually a lot better by about maybe 60 or so points in some cases. Right. The Drua have kicked this ball towards the corner. They've decided 3-pointers will not win them this game. And they need 7s. Now, another side that decided that, Leinster. But then they were defeated by Toulouse because they didn't take the easy 3 points when they were on offer. But now, to be thrown in here by Tavera Ikanaveri. Nicely taken by Vofi. Like they lost a few metres there. A great run from Tavera Ikanaveri. Only about 2 metres out at the moment for the Fijian Drua. Getting closer. That's going to be, I believe, Sila. I'm not used to seeing that man wear headgear normally. Oh, that's popped off the head of Tavera Ikanaveri. He wasn't looking the right way, but they already had the penalty advantage. And this is starting to become repeat infringements from the Highlanders. This position of the field, I'd say one more and Ben O'Keefe will give them the last warning. One moment, I am just about to sneeze. Oh, we are good. Taylor Munt's on the reserves. He is getting an opportunity off the bench for this game. And you have to wonder what type of form is he going to be in. We haven't seen him in action for an extremely long time. The Drua with Tavera Ikanaveri just trying to break off the back there. Ikanaveri doing a Manasa solo. Yes, straight into his forehead. He wasn't even looking the right way there. Nicely taken by, I believe it would have been Antonio Wanga. Now the rolling maul looks like it's about to start up that winger for the Canes, Hemi. His name, yes, Kanina Holo. He's not a finished type, but most compelling power, my AB's pick. There's Spider Mech. Now off to the left-hand side, Tavera Ikanaveri. That was very close for them. Round the side of the breakdown again. The Highlanders scramble defence, and the Highlanders win the penalty. The Drua, they rushed it. They were trying to get a man round the side of the breakdown and finish the job. But brilliant bit of work from Sean Withy there and Timothy Tavatava-Nawai to be able to get that ball. Are you showing gameplay or just commentary? Just commentary, because if we show gameplay, we get sued and get a copyright strike. So realistically, the Highlanders just need to win or lose by less than 7 points to deny the Crusaders and for the Drua to beat the Rebels next week. Little bit, but at the same time, if the Highlanders get a bonus point in this game, they can still get knocked out of the top 8 if it's a losing bonus point. Because theoretically, the Crusaders could still get themselves 5 next week, and then it's reliant on whether or not the Highlanders can get a bonus point up against the Hurricanes. But if the Highlanders get 2 losing bonus points in their next 2 games, including this one, they will be through to the next stage. But there's still a lot that can happen. And Momo always found himself in the wrong place, says Fiji Islander. Nice run forward from Sean Worthy there, tackled by Ilya Whanakoivata. It looks like Fakatava will be sending it up high. At Forsyth Barr, nicely taken by a Palian Momo. Breaks through one tackle off the Mofti Tavatavanawai. Off to the right-hand side again. Bit of a loose pass from the Drua. Now finding an offload to Celestino Ravatamanda. Trying to show off those quick stepping feet. Breaks through the tackle attempt of Mitchell Dunshay, but does not get past Jonah Nariki. Kitione Salawa. Oh, Withy has done brilliantly there. He turned the ball over, but then he had to give it back. Kuravuli gets the offload up now to Kimu Valentini. But if the Highlanders would be on 24, if they get the losing point today, it would overtake the Crusaders as they have more wins. Although I think that, are they doing it off wins here, or are they doing it off points differential? I know that in the URC they did it off wins first, but I don't know whether or not Super Rugby also took on the wins first scenario. But if so, then of course that would mean that they are going to be confirmed and it's more down to the Drua. It looks like there's a bit of an injury here for Simeone Kuravuli in this case, based on wins. So yeah, it would actually, all the Highlanders need is 1 point then in either of their games to secure their spot. But Justin Marshall, before, he said he doesn't see them getting anywhere near the Hurricanes, which will be an interesting one because the Hurricanes, theoretically, they don't need to put out their strongest side in that game up against the Highlanders. Yes, they'd love to get the win, but at the same time, they have to think strategically about how they're going to rest players heading into those playoff games, which will be 3 weeks in a row of out-and-out action if they do win their contests. Our Highlanders will win this easily. So just a case of who is in that 8th spot. So here's Jason Hamilton and Fijian Drua need to win one of their 2 games to make the 8, I think, says Fiji Islander. Yeah, if they can get themselves a win over the Rebels next week, or if they win this game, I believe they will be secured. I believe this game, if the Drua win and the Highlanders are within 7, that actually confirms everything already in the top 8, and that would cut out anyone's chances of making their way through. So a narrow victory for the Drua would pretty much shut down any, not excitement, but any surprises from the last round. Do you like the 6.5 Fijian Drua? Couldn't tell you. I'm terrible at predictions. And Drua versus Rebels next week will be fierce. Says Hanoi, are the Drua playing at home next week? They certainly are. So that is somewhere that they have had a lot more success. They haven't managed to win an away game as of yet. 16 minutes through at the moment. All about to be fed in by Falau Fakatava. And it's gone down in the front row, so they have got themselves a penalty advantage. That's going to be charged down by Antonio Wanga. Looks like still going to be continuing. No, Ben O'Keefe now decides that he will go back for the penalty. Drua could easily jump to 6th with a losing bonus point today. 5 points next week, says Freshy Boat. Although either way, they will still be away from home for their next contest, which unfortunately, unless something drastic changes, will probably result in what has happened in every other away win, which sadly would be an early exit for the Fijian Drua in the quarters. Padza, how was the vibe after last night's win? I'm nervous for the Blues Chiefs next week. Says Novmo, okay, so Landers will win, then the Drua next week. Easy done. Top 8 sorted, says Padza Blaze. Yeah, the scrum penalty does go the way of the Highlanders, who currently, after 18 minutes, have not been able to score themselves a point in this matchup. The Drua have turned down an easy 3, though. We're going to remember that. Now the Highlanders, they go to Ollie Haig. The rolling maul looking very strong here. Only making about 15 metres just in a few seconds. Weren't you at the Satyrs game? Says Hanoi. I think he was in Wellington at the time. Or Palmerston North, sorry. Now going back across the left-hand side. Jakarata Maitavuki Nepkins. Oh! Nariki, I believe, has scored it, but he almost put it into touch. In fact, they may even check this one just to make sure that he got it right, Jonah Nariki, but he's back in the side and he's just scored the first try. And that is his first of the season as well for Jonah Nariki. This one may need to be checked, as it looked like he was really backing himself to go right into the corner. Yeah, I think he's finished that very well. Jonah Nariki got his feet round the right way. If he had stepped with the other foot... Yep, just. I only hope the ref doesn't interfere too much. Blue's hard done by. Says Spider Mech. I was talking about it with my dad, though, after the game. Like, we aren't really seeing too many games that don't have some sort of referee influence in them now. So, sides... Unfortunately, yes, every once in a while you're going to get one that goes against you, but you do have to try and adapt to how the referee is calling throughout the game. Like, we saw the Blues start to lose their discipline a little bit at times throughout that contest. Who's refereeing for this one? It is Ben O'Keefe. And that's the difference. Drua tried to rush the points. Here's Fiji Islander. Now the Highlanders, they do strike that one cleanly from the touchline with Sam Gilbert. And that's going to make the score now 7-0 in favour of the Highlanders. Highlanders had poor field position, really, until this drive, says Jonathan Manson. Yeah, but they've been able to make the most of their opportunity, and that is something that most of the best sides are able to do. Pretty much when you are back against the wall, not really going anywhere, every once in a while you get that one good play. And, yeah, they haven't had a huge amount of territory, haven't had a huge amount of possession, but they are now leading on the scoreboard. 7-0. Another offload coming there. Kinaveri makes the tackle on George Bowser. Everyone outside of the 8 is hoping for Landers to win as well. Stairs Hanoi, pretty much, yeah, what's the points? Stairs below, at the moment it is sitting 7-0 for the Highlanders after 20 minutes. And now Eliza Drua runs it up to the halfway line. Simeone Kuravuli going away to the left-hand side. Good shot on Kitioni Salawa. Kuravuli in behind. Goes to Kimu Valentini. The draw, they have to make sure that they are the next side to score in this contest. Have to answer back with a nice bit of play of their own. Masaki Donge. Driven backwards by a Harmon as well as Ainsley. Back into the pocket, put high from Armstrong Ravola. Well taken again. Under the high ball from Faliafanga. Ben O'Keefe, so anti-Highlanders. That we are actually playing against 16 today. Still be an easy win, says Jason Hamilton. So what makes you think he's anti-Highlanders? Which game in particular would you say is your anti-Highlanders like theory coming from? Now nicely tackled. And that is going to be the penalty to the Fijian Drua. Tackling the man in the air, did not wait for him to land there, Jonah Nariki. Says no one likes Ben O'Keefe. Says Hanoi. I think people just don't like referees in general because, unfortunately, even if a referee has an outstanding game, depending on law interpretation and depending on who you're going for in a game, you still won't like the overall refereeing. If there's one decision that goes against you, you're in that scenario of, like, people will say the referee ruined the game and whatnot. Like, and it's unfortunate because I don't think we've covered a game of rugby in the last maybe 3 years that we haven't had at least one person after the game blame the ref. And it's just one of those ones that eventually I'd like to think people will just accept that the referees are human. They're going to have the occasional mistake and you have to try and make the most of it outside of that type of mistake. Yes, yellows and reds are almost always controversial. So Jonathan Manson, a little bit of a loose ball there, but well cleaned up. Until it was actually knocked on by the Drua, who was reffing, so it has been O'Keefe for this one. That is from Tane. As well, most likely as the Drua will probably win next week against the Rebels, who will also likely to finish in the top 8. It is common knowledge in Dunedin. Says Jason, so who are the other referees you'd say dislike the Highlanders? Because I'm sure you've got a list if you've got your certain ones that you feel like don't quite like them, as you say. Probably doesn't like the cold, to be fair. Dunedin, it's one thing that it does pretty poorly is warm up. But now, scrum feed for the Highlanders. And no one else. Okay, so just Ben O'Keefe. Angus Gardner, C.S. Tane. So every team's got a referee that they feel like's against them. About 90% of teams would say that that's Nick Berry. But, yeah, like all teams, it's like the game last night. We saw James Dolman. People were saying, oh, he must be from Christchurch, the way that he was refereeing that one. But really, it was just a lot of penalties going against both of the sides. Now, nice stepping from Faliafunga. Should Super get more Northern Hemisphere rest. So we are prepared for them in July tests. I mean, it's an idea, but at the same time, I feel like people would complain about it because they complain about everything. So that would be another thing to add to the list of complaints. And Blues choked during the second half last night. Yeah, they had opportunities to win it, and that's the thing. Yes, people can say, oh, there was one decision I didn't like. But at the end of the day, the Blues had more than enough chances of walking away with a victory, and they just didn't take them. So, you know, not what you want at this stage of the competition. Angus Gardner is trying so hard to be a good ref. It's Nick Berry, who goes against Aussie teams to avoid criticism. And Blues sold the game, says Bavani. Drua to retain possession to do the damage, as Highlanders are pretty sharp. Yeah, and at the moment, the Highlanders have had a lot of that possession over the last 5 or so minutes, but they are going back for another penalty in favour of the Highlanders here. The red card for the Canes was bad. Yeah, I agree, but that was actually the TMO who made that decision in that contest. Because for me, I thought it was only a yellow, but did get upgraded. Couldn't believe we still lost to the Crusaders when they're bottom of the table. Typical man. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, a lot of Blues supporters felt like that game was won before it was. And I don't know, maybe that was the same mindset that the Blues players had. They felt like they should have been able to win it more comfortably. They beat them last time without conceding a try. Silly penalties as usual, says a Fiji Islander. This guy is gambling and watching for sure, says Bavani. Which one? I know that we've got a few people who come in and then pretty much go, like, what's the chances of this happening? What are the chances of that happening? Which we can never give them a good answer. Boxing refs have been pretty dodgy lately too, says Mr. Billy. Now Sam Gilbert lining up this kick to give it a 10-point lead. I mean, that red card was fair. To be honest, the shoulder did make contact, which is fair, says Tane, and that one has gone over from Sam Gilbert. And does everyone agree with the 3 here? I think give the momentum shift, it is a tough call. No, I think it's a good call. The Draw are one of those sides that from now on they are going to back themselves more than likely to go for the corner. Maybe they'll take the occasional 3, but like the Highlanders just to take a 10-point lead in this contest, like it's strategic, definitely because they've got the home field advantage. Now Armstrong Ravula going to be kicking this one off. I want the Blues and the Crusaders to face each other again with no ref, 1-on-1, no ref. I put all my savings on the Blues, says Spider-Meek. Do you also think because you're gambling on the games that you're losing some enjoyment for watching them, Spider-Meek? Because in your case, I guess for your poor decision of backing the Blues, you're using the excuse of it must have been the referee's fault, not the fact that I misread the game, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like if you didn't have money on games, you might look at them a little bit differently. But they're just shown there with a win tonight. Highlanders should be through to the next stage with a loss tonight, still 64% likely to make their way through to the playoffs. And Drua only perform at home, even if they get to the top 8. That's where it ends, same with Moana Pacifica, says Charisse. A big run forward from Tavita Ikanaveri. It was ref cost Blues, says Bavani. So which decision in particular would you say? He could bet off the ref, says Kiwi Gamer, Miss Clark and Dalton for sure, says Josh. With a win today, 98% likely that the Draw would be through to the next stage. I don't understand the 2% that would say that they can't go through. Yeah, I'm not sure how that would work with them. Maybe the wins-loss ratio, maybe. but I don't think any side can actually catch them. And doing basics right will be a great help to the draw, or to do simple things right to be in the quarters. I rate Heem over Rico in the midfield too, although Heem was injured, I believe. Hurricanes will call up Vernon Basson. Sure, yeah, he was in their little team box, wasn't he? So I feel like he might be not too far away from getting that chance. I admit I lost 200 on the Blues. I took it out on the ref. There's Spider Mac. But, like, that's the thing. In rugby, great run from Jonah Nariki. He's got Jacob Ratamaitavuki napkins with him. And it's another try there for the Highlanders. Let's also ref love the French team. Not necessarily. 15 penalties against both of those sides. So, you know, they were penalised the same amount. They were penalised for different things, but both sides still ill-disciplined throughout that contest. And maybe a try here. Don't want to make the call early. We have got the everyone think it was clean. Yeah, I think the only thing that might be not so clean is this last pass. Yeah, it's flat, but I think it's all right to Jacob Ratamaitavuki napkins. Great salad dummy from Jonah Nariki, who's just come back into the side and perfectly slotted in with the Highlanders game plan. Finished off by Jacob Ratamaitavuki napkins, which Super Rugby team hasn't won a title before. Says Tane. The Rebels, they are one. They actually have never made the top 8, so they are a lot better off this year than they have been in the past. Highlanders have shown me enough, I think. Says Fiji Islander, and if Fiji ever KO New Zealand in the World Cup, would that remove support for the Drua and Super? I doubt it. I feel like it would be like a massive upset. And no, I feel like at the end of the day, the point of adding the Fijian Drua Moana Pacifica in Super Rugby was to try and help them grow their rugby. And I think that that's worked so far. We saw Fiji in the most recent World Cup making it through to the quarterfinals. And Highlanders get to play 2 more games in 2024 now. I guess making the quarters will have a financial gain at least. Says Jason, a bad loss, £5,000 yesterday. Says Bhavani. Some games just aren't worth putting your money on. Now, going to be available for Fakatava to use it. No point, it gains nothing. I was surprised at the end the Satyrs kicked the ball instead of denying the bonus point. But yeah, like Justin Marshall was confused by it. But the Blues at this stage have confirmed their spot in the quarters. The only thing that could have happened there for the Crusaders is one, they score and take away a Blues bonus point, which does nothing for the overall standings. It doesn't gain the Crusaders an extra point. And it also didn't really affect the Blues season overall. And the other thing that could have happened was some sort of silly penalty. And then from there, the Blues go down the field, score the try, and then completely take the Crusaders out of the game. That Dunedin Stadium will be good to play in, I reckon. Well, the benefit you've got is it has got a roof. So you at least... Oh, great take from Faliafunga. Yeah, you don't have to contest with the breeze as a kicker. Now, Fakatava going across to the short side to Jake Tahiwi. Another good tackle made by the Drua. They were looking for the counter-ruck there with Antonio Wanga. Billy Harmon now going forward again. I only bet on the Blues and my favourite team, Melbourne Storm. Win some, lose some. Says Spider Mac. Now Fakatava. Back across to the right-hand side. So I have a slight question for you, Spider Mac. Oh, that's going to be the penalty, though, to the Highlanders here again. Let's just say the Blues get knocked down in the quarterfinals, right? And you've put a whole heap of money on them. Like, does your decision to bet money on them also affect your view of the team? Because I would assume if you put a whole heap of money on them and they lose, even if they're your side and you say, you know, Blues through and through, surely if they've lost you money, that's in the back of your head as, oh, this team slightly annoys me now because they lost me my money. Forbes over Peter Feta, do you reckon? Yep, I agree. I think that Peter Feta should have come off the bench in that game, seeing as the fact that he does cover the option of 10 and 15, and then Cole Forbes has been in fantastic form, so he should have been starting, in my opinion. And bro, you still in New Zealand? I certainly am, yep. Glenn Jackson's real new head coach this next year. So here's Mr. Billy. Now lining up this kick again here for the Highlanders was Sam Gilbert. Now he did miss his last one, And he's missed that one. 15 points to nil is how it is going to stay. Yep, heaps of NRL and ACL players get abused badly by fans who lose bets. Yeah, like and the thing is, it's not necessarily like the players' faults, but they become the bad guy because they weren't able to get themselves the win. Like, even though sometimes it's just out of their control, they may not have had the ball much. It's like when people back certain players to score tries and a try gets disallowed, that player gets a whole heap of stick for it. Were Clark and Dalton on AB's wrist? I believe so. The top 8 are set. No teams outside the 8 will sneak in, says Junior Ryder. Taken by the Highlanders just inside of their own half. Here comes Billy Harmon. Running it at Tavita Ikanaviri. I go down with the team I support. Blues drown, I drown with them, says Spider Mick. Alpakatava. Putting it high on the halfway line. This will be just outside of the 22. And now Eliza Drua CC returns fire, and bro. The game is in New Zealand, and you are in New Zealand. Why aren't you watching the game in person? Says Anita. Well, it's a few hours away, old Dunedin, but also we are doing the commentary for the contest, and we have been doing so for the whole of the season. Cricket as well, so matches are not fixed because of punters. Says Stay Hunky. In New Zealand is a big place, says Annoy. And it's going to be kicked high from Armstrong. Ravula only gets it down to the halfway line, because we don't all live in Dunedin. Says Nov Mum bounces up nice inside ball to Sam Gilbert. He'll be 10 metres out from the try line now. Ollie Haig plays half. Jacob Ratamaitavuki Nepkin goes back to the Groot, who's had the ball ripped away, but another penalty goes the way of the Highlanders here. Plummett's worst night off the T2. Been kicking so good, 2-point game in the end, says Josh. And New Zealand has a big place. Okay, says Anita. Now, 5 minutes left. Gilbert will line up the posts again here, and just being well controlled at the moment in terms of the tempo of this game. Highlanders doing exactly what they said they wanted to, which was to get the draw inside of their own half and just pretty much keep them there. Yeah, nice chip from Ratamaitavuki Nepkins. This looks to be right in front. It certainly is, about maybe 10, 12 metres out for Sam Gilbert. Shouldn't have any troubles whatsoever. Put this one over, even though he has missed 2 kicks so far today, but that one has gone over. 18 points to nil now in favour of the Highlanders. A Landers win will put them in 6th, and the Reels will drop to 7th, and the Draw stay at 8th, says a Junior Rider there. There's a bouncy castle at Forsyth Barr, I do see in the background. I don't even know they had like that area at Forsyth Barr that they could put a bouncy castle. Like normally they have seats there. To be honest, Tammy, I don't know anything about the Blues until my workmate mentioned it to me, says Spider Mick. And bro, which place in New Zealand are you in? So pretty much I'm halfway in between Dunedin and Christchurch in terms of location. So to be able to go to this game would be about a 2 and a bit hour drive. Got to be the most interesting All Black squad naming this year in a while, says Josh. And we're looking at doing a video where we try and predict it, which I don't think is going to be very easy at all. Crusaders will make it to the playoffs, says Ivan. Another advantage now, this time going in favour of the Fijian Drua. Kitioni Salawa beats another defender. It's like he has throughout the rest of the season. The advantage is over for the knock-on. Osefa Masi put it out to Momo, who puts it down. Crusaders season rests with Rebels versus Drua, says Dion Sands. But of course, they also have to win their own game. A lot of people are forgetting that Moana Pacifica almost beat the Hurricanes. Now, yes, the Hurricanes went with a bit of a makeshift side. The last time that Moana Pacifica and the Crusaders played, I believe Moana Pacifica may have actually got themselves the win earlier on in the season. Good night, see you Friday, Crusaders Moana and Reds versus Tars. Draw almost try, says Anita. Crusaders won't make it, top 8 is set, says Junior Rider. And now 10 metres out from their line here, the Highlanders are going to have themselves the scrum on the live ladder. The way that it currently sits, the Highlanders would be on 27 points. I grew up a league supporter since I was 5. I support the Melbourne Storm, says Spider Mick. Anything resting on the Chiefs Blues game next week. So at the moment, the Chiefs, I don't believe they can overtake anyone, so they will only be in 4th. But for the Blues, that might be the difference between them finishing first and finishing second, as both sides are on 51 points. In fact, they could even finish third, the Blues, if the Brumbies also get themselves a win. And not yet. The chances are pretty low. Yeah, I think it was, if the Crusaders won last night, they had an 18% chance of making it through to the next stage. What's the time in New Zealand right now? Currently it is sitting 2:45 p.m, so a nice afternoon game of Super Rugby, who the Brumbies got next week. So, in fact, rather than just the Brumbies, we'll actually read off all of the games that are happening. The three New Zealand sides, or New Zealand kind of derbies that we have got. Crusaders, they are going to be taking on Moana Pacifica. We've got Hurricanes, Highlanders, and Blues versus Chiefs. The Force are taking on the Brumbies, and that game is actually taking place as a Western Force home game. And then also alongside that, Fijian Drua versus Rebels, and Waratahs versus Reds. Nice attack and run down the wing from Tawatawa Nawai. They get him taken down again here. It's a hard man to stop. Highlanders are safely in the top 8 now, back across to the left-hand side. Nice run forward from Jake Tahiwi, who's still pumping the legs. They're 15 metres out now, the Highlanders looking for the cross kick from Paliafunga, and just a little bit too much on it. And the Canes are playing up against the Highlanders. And Joel, we've been missing on the playoff. Here's Ivan. Well, it all depends on how they play up against the Rebels, of course. About to throw this ball in here, Tavita Ikanaveri. And it's well taken at the front by the drawer. At least slap back, and there's a massive gap there for Simeone Kuravuli. Fakatava manages to stop him, and he gets into the breakdown. Gets the clean. No, he didn't get the turnover. He must have just let it go at the last moment. Any sort of point for the Landers will make them in the top 8. Says Pads ablaze. Yeah, so even if they were from here to lose this game, they would still make it through if they were within 7. Now, Sefo Masi, he's a player who's gone kind of very quiet over the last maybe 3 or 4 weeks for the Fijian Drua. Highlanders really a must-win today. Chances of winning versus the Hurricanes is maybe minimal at best. There's Jonathan. Yeah, it's going to be a tricky one from here on out. Nice steal from Ethan de Groot. Gets it away to Falau Pakatava, who took a big shot in the process. Now Gilbert looking for the grubber in behind. And it goes into touch, only about 3 metres out there from the Highlanders line. Sorry, the Drua's line. No, they're out, bro. They're on 19 points, of the Drua on 21. And a Drua's win next week will shut out the Satyrs' chances. But you've just mentioned a Drua win next week, which has not happened yet. So there's still a slight chance. Even though, once again, everyone wants to say the Crusaders are done and dusted, there's still that slight chance. And if the Drua lose, says Pedza, nicely taken by the Drua. They will just put a face together, and then I believe they will put this ball into touch to take it to halftime. Back into the pocket, kicked into touch by Armstrong and Ravula. And at halftime in this contest, 18 points to 0. Who do the Drua have? They have got the Rebels in Fiji. So that is the one big bonus that they have. Landers are on 23 points. Says a Nov Mum. And also don't jinx, bro, otherwise I throw you out. Says Pizza Plays. I don't know whether or not you can use your authority like that, Paddy. But second half, going to be just around the corner. Oosh, you'd think. You'd have to think the Drua then. You would. But at the same time, they've had a few very close games up against Australian opposition in Fiji. In fact, it seems like they actually struggle a little bit more with the Aussie sides than the Kiwi sides when it comes to those home games. So, you know, it will be a very interesting one. Blaze, then either the Satyrs or the Force will get the 8th spot, depending on the points differentials. So here's a junior rider. And there as well. Or Moana Pacifica have also still got a chance. If they manage to get themselves a win over the Crusaders, they would be on 22 points. If the Drua lose by 8, then that would actually put Moana Pacifica in the box seat to go through. But it also depends on the other game. Like, there's so many factors that can still take place for this competition. It means that it's going to be a very entertaining finish, but a very confusing one, I believe. Show us the game. Says Kylie, well, currently it's half time, so there's no game that is taking place, Kylie. Fun fact. They're showing a King's birthday weekend at Harvey Norman. I don't think I need a 55-inch TV that I know of. And second half is just around the corner, ladies and gentlemen. In terms of the benches for these two sides, for the Highlanders, they have got Taylor, Leonard Brown and Ma'u as their front row replacements. Hicks and Broughton as the other two men in the forward pack, with James Scott, Wanga, and then alongside those two, they have also got Connor, Garden, Bishop. And then for Fijian Drua, Zaril Togiotama, Tikiri, and also Tawake, Roto Isolia, Mira, Matawalu, Caleb Muntz, making his much anticipated return in what could be a very important game for the Fijian Drua in the second half, and then Rakuro there as the number 23. Now, I should mention there is a competition taking place just around the corner for the sevens, ladies and gentlemen. We will, of course, be covering that one on the channel as well. What we will quickly do is we're just going to have a very brief look and see whether or not Fiji have actually announced their sevens squad that is going to be taken to the field in the near future. We'll go like this. Right, the Fijiana side looked like they were warming up a little while ago. We got a bit of information about the squad. Doesn't really look like it. Oh, hang on, there it is. The Madrid Sevens squad. So they've got Seven Mothinothangi. They've also got Jerry Tuwai making the return here. Just going to be a pretty massive one. I assume that he's actually going to be playing in the Olympics, possibly. For their side, Shush, says Kylie. And yes, then that leaves the Satyrs. Their fate is in their own hands. And I'm just lost for words. Like, I don't need a dictionary, I need a map. Says Fiji Islander. Imagine if the Satyrs sneak in and have a miracle run and win it again. Yeah. It's something that's, like, it could happen, right? But I do also think that it would probably kill Super Rugby if it did. If that makes sense. So only the poor Waratahs can't make the playoffs? That is true, yep. And Moana won't even get close to beating the Crusaders. They're in a hiding to nothing next week. Says Charisse. That's what people said in their game up against the Tars. That's what people said in their game up against the Hurricanes, that they got close in. That's what people said the first time they played the Fijian Drua. But they won them in some cases. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it ends up going. Because Moana Pacifica, they might have peaked at the right time. They've started putting together some good performances in the last 3 or 4 weeks. And what is the most brutal red card in Super Rugby this year? The most brutal, I mean, we've seen some good shots to the head, like that have knocked out a player, get a red card. So that's normally the one that causes the most problems in terms of the push and shove and whatnot. Well, I can't speak for the Crusaders. I'm just hoping my Canes go all the way. There's a Junior Rider. And Tasadrua Tosu says Adal Nivalu in the chat as well. Looking through at some of the stats for this match, ladies and gentlemen, we've seen quite a free-flowing game of rugby, but a lot of extra metres being made by the Highlanders as they have had a bulk of the possession throughout the first half. Oh, hang on. We'll go to the stats in a very short moment. They're about to do Catch the Colonel. Pretty much anyone who doesn't know what this is, they have a random person from the crowd have to try and chase after a colonel that is running along the billboard. And if he manages to win it, he will get $500. Oh no, he's in trouble. Oh. Oh, you'd almost have to give it to the bloke just because he had to sidestep around some camera people. Drua and Pacifica are so improved this season. And also, I'm not even bothered about the Drua making the 8 rather than winning away from home for the first time, says Fiji Islander. And also next year, back to the old days, 1 round robin and straight to the top 4. Brumbies have had the easiest route, only played 5 games against Kiwi teams. The 14 games, says Freshy Boat. And give it to him, says Dom. I'd say so. I'll be disappointed if they didn't, because they did make him have to step around someone who was standing in the way of the race. But they probably won't give him it, because they'd have to give away $500 worth of the KSC, the Drua and the Pacifica. So improved this season, says Gus. Now looking at some of the stats for this first half in terms of possession, like I mentioned, heavily in favour of the Highlanders, although not as heavily as I thought it would be, 53% in their favour. Penalties conceded, 5 against the Highlanders, 6 against the Fijian Drua. The tackling stats, Highlanders have actually missed 18 tackles, but they've made 80. And the Fijian Drua have made 62 tackles. They have missed 14. Meters gained, 374 for the Highlanders compared to the 184 of the Fijian Drua. Defenders beaten. The Fijian Drua have actually beaten more with 18. Did they win the 500? I'm not actually too sure. It sounded like they weren't going to give it to the bloke, which is rather unfortunate because, like I mentioned, he actually had to step around someone who was in the way of the race. So that lost him, I would say, half a second, which is about how much he lost by. Moana Pacifica will benefit Tonga and Samoa in the upcoming international tests. Says Freshy Boat, and of course there are so many international matches coming up just around the corner. We are covering them on the channel, ladies and gentlemen, or at least a bulk majority of them. So if you are new to the channel, of course, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. It's the last game of the weekend that we are covering, though. Of course, next weekend we've got Super Rugby, we've got the URC, we've got the Sevens as well, the Madrid Sevens, which is the final leg that we are going to get to see before the Olympics. So a lot of sides will be wanting to prove themselves in that contest. But 51% possession, in fact, it's 59% territory is the big difference there. Are there 2 or 3 tests against England? I believe there's only 2, and then there's one near the end of the year in November, I believe, has also taken place. Second half, not too far away from starting. Fijian Drua, looks like they have still got quite a few supporters in the stands. This game probably being played in about 7-degree temperatures at the moment. It looks like Fabian Holland just warming up the legs on the exercycle at the moment inside of the changing sheds. He's had a busy first half. He's been quite efficient when it comes to those line-out steals for this Highlanders side. But yeah, second half, very close to starting. The big thing here is currently the way that it sits, I don't believe the Drua... Oh, can they get a bonus point? Their losing bonus point here could actually be a bit of a difference maker as well, because even if they lose their game up against the Rebels, but they have that bonus point, that might be enough to keep them alive. So it's going to be an interesting one for the final few games of Super Rugby Pacific. Super Rugby should do the final regardless of who's in the final in the new Christchurch Stadium when it opens. I would probably disagree with that. I feel like whoever's got the home field advantage should be the side that has earned it throughout the season rather than just throwing it in Christchurch for the sake of throwing it in Christchurch. But like if the Crusaders make it through, definitely stick them at the Christchurch Stadium for the final. Of course, once it's finished, they have to get it all sorted first, of course. In terms of players off the bench who will step up, Caleb Muntz, I'm very curious to see where that man is at because, unfortunately for him, that injury in the Rugby World Cup was a brutal one and he missed any chance of getting minutes throughout that competition. There was a special flight provided for the Fijian, for the Drua fans for this game, says Fiji Islander. It'd be like the Europeans with a neutral stadium in the theory final. So what if the Crusaders were able to make it into the top 8? Then they would have the unfair advantage, wouldn't they? Because they'd be at home. But, like, don't get me wrong, I like the idea of a neutral stadium, but if it's being played in New Zealand, it's a not really neutral stadium unless it's 2 New Zealand sides. If it's being played in Australia, then you're in that scenario of it's not really a neutral ground if New Zealand are travelling to Australia. So there are factors that do influence whether or not a neutral ground is an actual neutral ground. For Gloucester versus the Sharks, for instance, in the Challenge Cup, it was still being played in England, so that was still an advantage to Gloucester to a certain extent, even though they didn't make the most of it, and they did end up losing that game, be a bonus. Says Freshy Boat in there as well. But yeah, no, I don't think they'd go, we're definitely going to have this one. If they did the Super Round at that stadium, that's a different story. I don't think Super Rounds should be in Melbourne anymore, just because if the crowd aren't going to show up for them, plus of the fact that there is a big chance that Rebels won't even be a team in the near future. Like, yeah, either that or maybe in Fiji, I think would be a fantastic location to have the Super Round. I totally agree. There's reflecting trees. But yeah, I do hope that they sort out the Super Round and think about it a little bit more, because I know that the point of it being in Melbourne is to try and increase like the amount of people who are watching the game from Melbourne competing with the NRL, but it just isn't. You know, at the end of the day, people aren't going to Super Round, and it doesn't look good when you look at a stand and it's got about 5,000 people there rather than the stadium capacity, which is a whole lot higher. Wellington and Auckland. So there's Amy Guns there. Is the Highlanders winning better for Crusaders? Says Pork Chop. Theoretically, yes, and then the Drua have to lose to the Rebels next week. Shouldn't be in Fiji. Just don't think it's big enough, says Fiji Islander. You know, the good news at least is you get a crowd to the games. Like, no matter who's playing, I feel like the Fijian Drua fans would still show up to watch the rugby, because they'd just be appreciative that they've been given that Super Round. Like, to a certain extent, like, there are other locations. I think that Suncorp Stadium, if you're going with an Australian location, take it to Queensland, wouldn't be the worst idea ever. But they seem to be very keen on Melbourne. Oh, they're showing a KFC ad for a double down. Gotta love a double down. Well, we will go like that and like that. There we go. Second half is just around the corner, ladies and gentlemen, in this contest. Currently in the odds, there's no chance. I've just seen for the draw, or at least according to those odds. But if they score first in this game for the second half, maybe a little bit closer. Super Round should play where the most seats are, attract more spectators and money. I slightly disagree about where the most seats are, because theoretically, if that's got a massive stadium with the most seats but you can't sell it out, there's not much point. You're better off finding a happy medium where you can get a lot of people to the games and that will generate your revenue, but then also at the same time you don't want many empty seats, because if it's supposed to be a Super Round, you'd think that there'd be super support for it. And Melbourne is probably just easiest logistically for all the teams to have their own training facilities. Says Freshman. And just tuned in well, keep going the Landers. Who do you think will win? I think the Highlanders have got this one. 2 tries, John Nariki, and also Jacob Ratamaitavuki Nepkins. And we'll love to see a Super Round in a non-Super Rugby country, Ireland, England, USA, even though it would be a logistical nightmare, says Mr. Pork Chop. Or even, I know that you've listed a few, in terms of Europe as well as the US. What about Japan? The problem with that, of course, would be the fact that the top league is still taking place. But in the early stages of Super Rugby, I wonder whether or not they could get away with taking all the teams to Japan for a week or something like that. It would hurt the brain to think about, but maybe there's an opportunity to make some money there for Super Rugby. One moment, I'm about to sneeze, so I will quickly mute. Neither side have made changes. Eliza Drua at halftime. They did just mention that he did get an HIA, but he has passed it. So they will be continuing in this contest. Antonio Wanga running that ball up for the first time in the second half. They've got 40 minutes to try and get within 7 here, the Fijian Drua, if they want a really good chance of advancing a little bit further forward. But Simeone Kuravuli goes back to Armstrong Ravula. Plenty of height on it there, and that's going to be knocked on by the Highlanders. The Drua now will have themselves the scrum pit. I think that is Jake Tahiwi again. No, this time it's Paliafunga, in fact. Fiji Landers. Fiji, no. Says Kylie there. There's an argument going on at the moment. Jermaine Ainsley versus Une Kuroi Dua, like I've just said, on this near side. We haven't seen a huge amount of scrums throughout this match. The only scrum that we really saw was when the Highlanders were pushing them back. Do you know the Super Rugby ladder? I certainly do. There you go. That is how it sits currently. Now, that is not involving any points for this game. Currently, the live game that we have got here, the Highlanders will move up to 27, and the draw would remain on 21. But that is the way that it currently sits. The only side that cannot make the top 8 theoretically is the Waratahs. Unfortunately for the Tars, their season is almost over. They've got one more game, though, that they are going to be going head-to-head, I believe, with the Reds next week. But now scrum reset in this contest. Probably why it's felt like that first half went so quick is because we didn't get to see a huge amount of scrum resets throughout it. And a look at the ladder. Says Kylie, I went there last year, so Fiji will win, says King Beast. And Drua need to get a try or try to get the wheel rolling. That ball is in there now for Simeone Kuravoli. Going off the back to the left-hand side, Kimi Valetini. Sifo Masi. Goes across to Drua Sisi and now Peli Momo. Wrestle towards the touchline, keeping the ball alive. Kimi Valetini again going back on the inside. Nice attack and run from Kitioni Salawa. So Tars vs Reds will be a dead rubber of sorts pretty much. Yeah, no one can really gain too much. Oh, the Waratahs I think can get into... Can they at least overtake someone? I think that they may be able to overtake someone if they won it comfortably, but more than likely, no. Now on the halfway line currently here. And the penalty goes the way of the Fijian Drua. Fiji will win, says King Beast. Okay, Jermaine Ainsley is the man who has been penalised for that one, not rolling away in the breakdown. It looks like Armstrong Ravula will once again kick this one towards the touchline. Something that the Drua have opted to do thoroughly throughout this game is go for the touch. And beautiful pronunciation. There's reflecting trees. You know what, there's some tricky names in there overall for the Fijian Drua, but every once in a while they roll off the tongue not too badly. But so far for the Fijian Drua, they target the middle and the back of their line out more than the front. About to be thrown in by Taveta Ikanaveri. Nicely taken by Soana Sila. Now Ikanaveri breaking off the back. Am gutted. Had to miss this game home with my daughter as she is home vomiting. Sure, she will want to continue our season pass for 2025. Says Jason, so hopefully she does get better soon. Armstrong Ravula now inside of the 22. And it looks like it's going to be held up by Harmon. The ball was out, but the advantage was still in play. They'll go back for another penalty in favour of the Drua. Just giving away too many penalties at the start of the second half here, the Highlanders. Not rolling away actually twice in the breakdown, 2 in a row, like Ben O'Keefe has said. Okay, they're taking on the points here. Going for the 3 for the Drua. And this is just to get some form of points on the board for this game. Okay, I think Ben O'Keefe was saying that they were playing penalty advantage. And Ikanaveri just wanted them to check whether or not there was a deliberate knock on. Now Armstrong Ravula line up this kick. 18 points difference between these two sides as we currently sit, but this will make it 15, which is still more than 2 converted tries to get themselves the victory here. Armstrong Ravula, if he gets this kick over, he will bring up 100 points for the Fijian Drua. And he's got it over. She was excited to have Jonah Nariki back. But sure, he will be back next season, says Jason Hamilton. 18 points to 3 now. Of course, Jonah Nariki, great start to this contest. A try assist and a try to him in this game. And it was something to keep the wheel moving. 3 points to start, says Spider Mech. It has to be the first of many points opportunities for the Drua in this one. Now, Sifo Masi trying to go over the top of Sean Withy. Was almost able to hold him up, although he did get a little bit high near the end of it. Kuravuli cross to Masaki Dongai. Kicked high from Armstrong Ravula. We'll get it to 30 metres out. Back onto the side of the Fijian Drua. Well cleaned up by Simeone Kuravuli. Ball on the inside. Oh, that's a knock on from Kitione Salawa. as he took contact. Just drops that ball. Sam Gilbert, big smile on his face. He'll just be happy to be back in the starting lineup. Was one of the informed players of the competition. The Highlanders decided to take him out of that starting lineup and try a few different things in that midfield combo. And oh boy, says a Spider Mech in there as well. Connor Garden Bishop going to be the man at number 23 in this contest, with Matt Wanga as well as James Ascott as all of the back replacements in this game for the Drua. They have got some packing, or at least some punch off their bench as well. Caleb Muntz, Rakuro and Matawalu alongside Mera in the forward pack. Okay, I think that Danieri was just getting a bit of a warning there from Ben O'Keefe, pretty much saying that you were leaning in too much for the front row. The Highlanders wouldn't mind getting a 3-pointer here if they managed to get themselves the penalty, just to kind of shut down that momentum that the Drua are trying to create, although I think that momentum was shut down by that drop ball of Kitione Salawa. Right, advantage, elbow down, so the Highlanders have got the chance to use their backline here. Well taken by Jacob Rata, Maita Vuki, Nepkins, looks for the grubber in behind. Ball sits up from a great quick hands, gets it away to Timothy Tavatava Nawai. Wrestled towards the touchline, but still in the field of play. Did you see the Blues versus Crusaders game? Too many penalties, says Valenia. A little bit of ill discipline from both of the sides in that contest. Ball out wide, chance for the big man, Mitchell Dunshea. But he doesn't go over. Fakatava goes across to Sean Withy here. Another advantage against the Fijian Drua. And they'll go back now for the penalty again. Come on, the Drua, says Mr. Billy. And Tosso Dorotoso says Tamani there. Yeah, scrambling defence. The ref from Canterbury says Spider Mech. Right, looks like a quick tap here for Ethan de Groot. He's just going to throw himself at the line. Goes back to Withy. Tava Nawai. Shut down by Kuravuli. Now again, Pakatava will go short. I'm looking around for Jermaine Ainsley here. Or Ethan de Groot. One of those two big men, although it looks like they actually want to use their backline. Jake Tahiwi gets within 2 meters now. And another penalty advantage has already gone against the Fijian Drua here. Quick hands from Withy as Jonah Nariki gets his second try of the day. And that will now give the Highlanders the bonus point here as well. Listen to you, because SEN decided not to do this game, says David Lim. It's a bit of a shame that they aren't doing coverage for this contest. Of course, first Sunday game in a long time that has taken place, but 49 minutes in, and Jonah Nariki has got another try. He was actually involved in the first initial break. So disappointing right now. There's Fiji Islander. Of course, they have still got a chance of making the quarterfinals, the Fijian Drua. They are still inside of the top 8. They just... Jonah Nariki's possibly best game this year. Well, he's hardly played this year, Jonah Nariki, has he, due to injuries and whatnot. He's ended up missing quite a few games at times. He's looking very strong at the moment, Jonah Nariki. I believe before this game he hadn't actually... don't think he had a try. Big overlap, says Damani. Now 23 points to 3. Well, it's the next week's rugby, says Valen. So we have got the Fijian Drua versus the Rebels, Highlanders versus Hurricanes, Chiefs versus Blues, Crusaders versus Moana Pacifica, Reds versus Waratahs, Brumbies versus Western Force. I just want them to win away from home for once, says Fiji Islander. Who knows, maybe the first time that they do will be in their quarterfinal. Who knows? But they have to get there first. Our Waitu provincial sides had to play Fiji national side. There's the outlier. Are you talking about the Fijian Drua? The franchise? Is that your question? They're a club side. But I'm very confused. Now, 30 minutes remaining. Now that's going to be kicked high from Falau Fakatava. Nicely taken again by Eliza Drua Sisi. Now off to the left-hand side. Another attack and run from Tavera Ikanaveri. And behind, Armstrong Ravula. Thought about going with the pass on the outside. Valentini, but hangs on to it. Takes it to ground. Kuravili again now. Looking for that next pass. Isn't Fijian Drua a national side? They are not, no. The Fijian Drua are the franchise. Fiji are the national side. Fijian Drua is the Super Rugby franchise. Flying Fijians is the national side. Says Freshy Boat. And dinner today, yes, I'd hope so. I hope I get some sort of food. Jake Tahiwi. Still down again for the Highlanders. Now, Ollie Haig. In fact, no, it's going to be Mitchell Dunshea. Crashing forward. Do you think Super Rugby should have more Sunday games? I believe so. I feel like 4 games on a Saturday is just a bit too many. And when will you play the Rugby Challenge? There's Berlin. Not sure at this stage. Only because normally when we start playing it, the glitches are a bit too much and it ends up being a little bit unplayable. Definitely because like we did a career mode as like an All Blacks career mode. We were making our way up through the rankings and then we didn't get selected for the World Cup even though we were in the All Blacks squad. So that kind of ruined it a little bit. It also simulated the next World Cup. So you do all the hard work to get there and then it doesn't let you actually play those games. Definitely more Sunday Arvo games, especially in Auckland. There's Freshy Boat. Jermaine Ainsley, he's up to 96 matches. So theoretically, if the Highlanders make it to the final, Jermaine Ainsley will have his 100th cap. And Fiji playing the All Blacks, I think this July, says Mr. Billy. They certainly are in the US of A, which will be an interesting one there. The best Fijian player currently on the field is in the Highlanders. Quite ironic, really, says Jason Hamilton. Not really ironic, is it? It's just more of the case of they got a good signing. And Timothy Tavatanawai, nicely kicked ball from Celestino Rawatamanda. The ball is still alive and now sits up here for the Fijian Drua. Out to the right-hand side, in fact, left. Danieri goes on the outside to Osefo Masi. Drua Sisi. Nice step, but brilliant defence from the Highlanders. Even though they missed 18 tackles, Sean Withy goes in. It was illegal, and he gives away the penalty. But the Churchies won't be happy, especially those players who go. Says Reflecting Trees. Now, only 10 metres out for the line here. The Fijian Drua, who are down 25 points to 3 after that kick, has also gone over after the Nariki try. Tavatanawai boots it downfield, finds a lot of space, and it has curled towards the touchline. The Highlanders, their defence throughout this game, I think, is something that needs to be noted, because even though they are in the situation of missing like about 20-something tackles, they have still made every tackle that has mattered in terms of stopping any sort of try-scoring opportunity for the Drua. Who do you think will win this year's Super Rugby? I think a New Zealand side should be able to take it. Made 6 tackles so far throughout this game, Ethan de Groot, but he is breathing extremely deeply at the moment as he has been working hard throughout that first 54 minutes. Looks like a couple more changes are being made for the Fijian Drua, including Samu Tawaki now making his way out onto the park. And also Zaril Togiotama has come on. Oh, overthrown by the Drua, but well claimed by Armstrong Ravula. I don't think we'll be too far away from seeing Caleb Muntz make his way out onto the field. Another shot on Samu Tawaki. Kimu Valentini. So high. Nicely taken by Jonah Nariki. Now, looking to the left-hand side and the right. Does decide to shift it right. Falau Fakatava. Ratamata Vuki Nikens, nice sell of the dummy. Now across. Falau Fakatava. Oh, looks like there might be an injury here for Jacob Ratamata Vuki Nepkins. Fakatava goes back across to Fabian Holland. I believe that is his first carry that we have seen of the day during the Warriors game tonight. We are not, no. Now, little short ball. Popped up again for the Highlanders, who are sitting 30 metres from the Fijian Drua line. On short side to Sam Gilbert. I've stopped him. Looks like Henry Bell may also have a bit of an injury now as well here for the Highlanders. He's trying to stretch out that knee. Now Holland, yeah, oh, that was almost a tip tackle on him. And they're going to stop it because of the injury. Restart with the Highlanders ball. I don't think the Highlanders will mind that too much. It might actually benefit them more than when they were trying to attack. So it doesn't look like anything too serious for him, but he doesn't look like he's enjoying it too much here. Henry Bell kicks a woeful man, honestly. Says Fiji Islander. Yeah, looked like something in the shin or the calf or somewhere around there. No matter what, the Highlanders at this stage of the match, unless something very, very drastic happens, have secured themselves their spot in the quarterfinals. The big battle now is going to be for that 8th place spot. Is it going to be the Drua, or is it going to be the Crusaders, Moana Pacifica, or Western Force? Those sides have all got the opportunity to still go on and get themselves through to the quarters. Are you going to do the Warriors game? Once again, we are not, no. Next week, Churchill Park is going to be the location for the Fijian Drua. The Hurricanes are going to head-to-head with the Highlanders. That is at Sky Stadium next week. I think the Landers have done enough, says Fiji Islander. Yeah, it does seem like they are in a position here where they shouldn't be able to lose the game, but sometimes you just never know, do you? And 2 bonus points for the Highlanders if they don't lose by less than 7-2, says Jonathan. And I think the Landers have done enough, says Fiji Islander. They are just showing they're the Western Force. They've got the home game up against the Brumbies next week. Is that one of those contests that the Brumbies don't necessarily care too much about the overall result and more so resting some players? Does that give the Force an opportunity to make it into the top 8? It's hard to say, but we will know on about Wednesday when the sides are all being announced. Now about to be fed in by Falau Fakatava. Looks like a solid scrum here for both of these teams. No one going backwards, even with that advantage in weight going the way of the Highlanders. I believe that the Fijian Drua bench, though, would probably have a bit of a weighted advantage. That's going to be kicked behind from Falau Fakatava. Gets a favourable bounce. Sits up for Ravatamanda. Now has to try and run it out. What's the best player in Super Rugby? Depends on who you talk to and depends on what position you're looking at. Because, certain positions, in terms of best 7 in the competition, you'd probably say Peter Luckey at the moment or Fraser McWright. When you're looking at best wingers in the competition, there's Severis, there's Talia, there's Tava Nawai. Damn, have to shoot off Emmy, drop my sister work. Catch you later, cheer. Says Spider Mix, so we'll see you later on, probably next week, in fact. Will be the next time we do end up seeing you. Fijian Drua at the moment, it just hasn't quite been their best performance. Pity they can't play the Blues vs Chiefs and Landers game at the same time, like the Premier League final day. Would have been quite a finish to see who gets the top spot. Says David Lim. Do you see any teams outside the top 4 that have a chance to win it all? I don't think that's ever been done before in Super Rugby, says Junior Ryder. I'll be honest, I feel like the Highlanders, they're looking pretty decent at this end of the season. The Reds, away from home, don't quite play as well, but they're in some good form at the moment with Tim Ryan being a bit of a superstar. Beautiful ball on the inside from Timothy Tava Nawai, and he'll get another try for his season. Him and Jacob Ratamaitavuki Nepkins are just linking up beautifully in this game. It's going to make it 30 points to 3 now. Fijian are starting to resort back to their mongrel ways on the field, says Jason Hamilton. And the wing, says Valene. So yeah, probably those top 3, like I mentioned, Tava Nawai being one. Then you've also got Severis. And also, that's a great finish. Mark Talia is another great one. Amoni Narawa. He's playing some good rugby at the moment in terms of that wing position. Would Highlanders prefer to play a Kiwi team in New Zealand or go to the Brumbies home? Ooh. It's a tricky one, isn't it? I think Rikuro tried to stop him twice there and got a kick in the face for both of the times that he tried to drag him down. The crowd are loving it at the moment. Sam Gilbert going to be lining up this kick tough, says Reflecting Trees. Yeah, it's a hard decision. You'd probably say a New Zealand side, possibly. Just because the Brumbies at home seem to be very tough to beat. not just for the Brumbies, but also normally the decisions in that game are slightly skew-whiffed. Either way, they'll struggle. It's hard playing in Canberra. Says Junior Ryder. Now, Gilbert does get that one over, and that'll make the score now, after 59 minutes, 32 points to 3 in favour of the Highlanders. Like I say, Ethan de Groot, his day is done. He has done enough for his side. A lot of changes are being made. And that's basically the Wallabies. Says reflecting trees. Right, Rotui Solia is making his way onto the field, and also Meta has also made his way out there for the Fijian Drua. So Armstrong and Ravula getting ready to kick this one off. One moment, I'm about to sneeze again, so I'll quickly mute. There we go, we are good. Hicks, he has made his way on for Haig, and Taylor has made his way on for Henry Bell as well here. So it does seem like at this point of the contest, the Highlanders feel like they have done enough, which is understandable, seeing as they're leading by 29. I'm a little bit disappointed, though, that the Fijian Drua haven't been able to get themselves any tries in this contest. I kind of feel like I've jinxed them. Would Love be the best player of 2024. He's been pretty strong, Ruben Love. But in terms of, positional kind of comes into it as well, doesn't it? But now the draw in possession. They are just inside of their own half with Penny Matawalu. Goes back across to Armstrong, Ravula. Now Sefo Masi. He breaks the line. Step from him. Breaks through a weak tackle attempt from Faliafunga. Now Matawalu goes across again to Eliza Drua Sisi. Chopped down like he's a tree. Does that mean he's automatically in the All Blacks? There's reflecting trees. Not necessarily, but I do think that he'll get some sort of spot in the All Blacks setup. Now around the side, Meta. Taken down again. Back across to the right-hand side here. Matawalu, they want the try, Fiji. Can they get it? Ravatamanda goes on the outside to Eliza Drua Sisi. The Highlanders' defence has been impeccable throughout this game. Aside from the missed tackles, of course, but none of them have cost them too much. There was a little bit high from Jake Tahiwi, who gives away yet again another penalty. The advantage is still in play, so the Drua can continue to look for their attack. They are going short side now. Another offload to Penny Matawalu. Goes across to Celestino Ravatamanda. Dropping the head was the big man Valive Meta. And we'll go back for the penalty again. Do they go for the corner here? If you're the Fijian Drua, I feel like there's no real other option, is there? Drua's Achilles heel is the travel. All they need is an away win from home. And I'll do a lot for their confidence. Says Junior Ryder. But yeah, like at home, they're phenomenal, the Drua. And of course, different conditions do play a little bit of factor. And perhaps just needing more time playing away games. I just mentioned there, Sefo Masi has the most defenders beat him throughout the whole competition. Right, Conagard and Bishop. He is making his way onto the field for Jonah Nareki. And I've said, how about the chicken wings? Says reflecting. Said, how about the chicken wings? Which chicken wings are we talking? Because now I really want chicken, unfortunately. Is it the KFC Catch the Colonel that you're talking about? Love some KFC about now. Just not good enough in my opinion. Says Fiji Islander. Thrakai Vata. Moving just a little bit closer. Matawalu. Going across here to Zaril Togiotama. In fact, it's Samu Tawake, yes. And now I really want chicken. 5 meters out from the line here now. Penny Matawalu going back across. It's Fijian Drua's side, though. As strong as they have been at times in this game, and that is very loosely used, because they've had some very good moments. How many All Blacks playing the Highlanders, says outlier, or it's the penalty to the Highlanders in the breakdown. I would say probably about 3 or 4 we will see from the Highlanders make their way into the All Blacks. At the moment, in terms of their starting lineup, the only All Black that is there is actually Ethan de Groot. But I think that's going to change for this upcoming season. And well, Hamish, great game, one-way traffic, says David the Mod. It is. And I feel like I possibly have jinxed the Fijian Drua because I decided to wear some merchandise, ladies and gentlemen. And it's a Fijian Drua shirt. And they've gone tryless in this game, unfortunately. They haven't been able to score at all. So what we're going to do, we might as well, we're going to take the jersey off and we're going to see how many people give us stick for having a Fijian Drua kit on, seeing as the Highlanders are heavily winning this game. So we'll see how this goes. We'll see how many people give us stick, even though we're not a Highlanders supporter or a Fijian Drua supporter per se. But we'll see how it goes. But 16 minutes remaining. Now that I've put it in display, tell you what, the Fijian Drua look like they've fired up a little bit. Nice kick in the eye from Celestino Ravatamanda. I'm watching a Thai chef cook 200 kgs of chicken in 2 hours on my phone. There's a nice run down the wing from Eliza Drua Sisi as the Fijian Drua make their way into the 22. Big shot coming in from Falau Fakatava. That's a nice shirt, says Amy Guns. Now across. And how many Highlanders do you think are in the All Blacks conversation? Probably 3 or 4, I would say. That's cool shirt, says David the Mod. Actually, my mum and dad bought it while they were in Fiji when Dad was playing in a golf tournament. Fun fact. Well, they should bring back collars for the jerseys. Pass out wide. They're going back, though, for the forward pass. You done nothing of sorts, mate? Others their usual doing for not showing up as usual, says Fiji Islander. Yeah, still 15 minutes remaining, and it's a one-sided game. It's a disappointing one for the Fijian Drua here. I would have much preferred to be right in this contest. I feel like this collar or this polo shirt makes me look even more pale, unfortunately. It's going to be kicked into touch though for the Fijian Drua, as they did have the penalty advantage in that case. But yeah, some big shots. Did he wrap the arms for Lau Fakatava in that one? I don't think he did, which is actually why that penalty was against the Highlanders. That would be a hot golf tournament of walking all 18 holes. So yeah, it's annoying. Yeah, I think it was across about 3 or so days. So it was pretty toasty by the end of it. Thrown in by the Fijian Drua now. Looking to get this rolling ball marching towards the Highlanders line, which at the moment it's not doing too badly. They've been told to use it once though. They do have to get this ball out the back for Zaril Togiotama. Offloads it to Mini Matawalu. Oh, they've decided to take it on a little bit further there. The Fijian Drua, that was a poor choice. And I think it's going to cost them the ball. Yes, it does. Bad decision making from the Fijian Drua there. They needed to just get that one out. And then they got confident that they were going to be able to make their way forward just a little bit further. Your dad must have played golf in Denarel. He did, yes. 12 is useless, says MTK. So in this case, it would be Kimu Valentini they are talking about. Now scrum feed going to be the way of the Highlanders here. So Ethan de Groot, he's going to have his 50th game next week. They have just mentioned Jermaine Ainsley. He is 4 away from his 100th game. And 12 is actually a 10. That is true. Although some 10s nowadays do slot between that 10 and 12 kind of role, don't they? Doing a little bit of mix and match depending on what the team actually needs. And they replaced Marcy seriously. Has had a shirt showing bias today, Hamish says Simran. No, I just felt like the Fijian Drua, with the fact that they haven't scored any points whatsoever, needed a little bit of support, seeing as this has been a hiding. It should be a yellow shirt in honour of the way they have played, says Jason Hamilton. Just talking to Ethan de Groot, though, he'll be happy with the way that the Highlanders have played in this game, and they did mention they didn't want to get sucked into the way that the Fijian Drua do play. They wanted to make sure that they were effective in the way that they were attacking. With the ears off the field for Broughton. And that is now going to be the free kick for the Highlanders. Ben Smith being credited with that quick tap that they have gone with, just waves to the crowd on the big screen. If the Drua were thrashing them, would you keep shirt hidden? Maybe till the end of the game. And then I would have been like, oh, by the way, I had a Fijian Drua shirt on. At least the Highlanders are winning on home soil, says Simran. Yeah, it's actually going to be their last home game. Unless, of course, the semi-finals and quarterfinals go really, really strangely. Could be the last home game for the Highlanders of the year. That's going to be thrown in. Nicely claimed by the Fijian Drua with Ilya Thanakai-Vata again throwing himself at the line. Highlanders taking care of business. And Drua needs Siruvakula as coach. No need for this white-collar overseas coaches. Says Michi. Matawalu being put under immense pressure around the side of the breakdown. You have one drop Drua, stay with the Highlanders within 7 points. However, Drua won't finish 6th now, stay on 7th, and will travel to Auckland or Wellington. Says Freshy Boat, and Crusaders' new stadium is looking nice. It's coming in a few more years. Says Amy, another turnover there for the Highlanders. Managed to get the possession back with the Mothi Tavatava Nawai. And they've just been brutal when it comes to stealing that ball at the moment, the Highlanders. That cross kick almost paid off. Dakota Garden Bishop. Well, we now the line out for the Fijian Drua. Tikaha says Amy Guns. 10 minutes left. Would you rather be a 50 test All Black or play IPL cricket for 5 years? Probably IPL cricket for 5 years, to be honest. Like, in terms of which option would be more financially gaining as well as, like, less chance of injury. Like, as you can see by when I was scratching my back, there's not a lot of me in terms of muscle, in terms of, like, size and strength. So, yeah, me playing for the All Blacks for 50 tests, I would say that I'd be pretty much, like, done for by about 10 games, yet I'd have to still play another 40. And yes, it would be awesome to play for the All Blacks and have that under your belt. If you could avoid injuries throughout the 50 games, I might say the ABs. But because I know that I'd get injured within 5 seconds, I'd rather go IPL for 5 years because you make some money while you're not getting as many chances of being injured. Confident Drua will lose next week for the versus the Rebels. There's Fiji Islander. One tackle would break you. That is correct, yes. And then I'd have to get tackled many, many more times throughout the 50 matches. Same cricket as the Big Bucks now. Says Inouye. And also Fijian Drua inconsistent and out-muscled. Says Waitaha. And Marcy sucks. Says Mitchie, I don't know about that. He's beaten the most defenders throughout the whole competition out of any player leading into this contest. Still with the game in hand as well, heading into the game. So I don't think I'd say that he sucks. He's also scored quite a few tries. In fact, 2 weeks, he scored 5 tries combined across those 2 weeks. He's got some great form, Marcy. They just haven't been able to find him. And I think that's not so much Osifa Marcy's fault, but then you've got to look at Armstrong Ravula and Kimu Valetini in their way that they weren't effectively able to get him the ball. Now, currently, 9 minutes remaining. I have 1 tickets to the game today. Arsak said I couldn't make it because I was out of town, says Simran. And there as well. But yeah, if you were going firmly for the Drua, this was probably one of those games that you wouldn't have wanted to see, but I know that you're a Landers fan, so I'm sure you would have been loving it. That's going to be a nice bit of rush defence there from the Highlanders. The ball just pops out on the side of the Highlanders there. That's a massive shot of Palau Pakatava. Gets flattened there. Armstrong Ravula retreating. Gets it across now. I see that Caleb Muntz is on the field. Can he make some sort of impact? They've got 3 fly halves on the field. This does not seem smart. Drop kick attempt here from Jacob Ratamatabuki Nipkins. He's missed that one by a good few metres. Love your commentary, brother. Keep up the good work. There's Amici. And there as well. And Toulouse won the Euro Champions Cup earlier today. They did. We covered that game. And did you know it went to extra time? because both sides had 15 points at the end of regular time and there were no tries scored throughout the 80. Now that's going to be out wide to Matt Wanga. His brother Josh Wanga actually ended up playing in the under-20s rugby championship. They're both my teams. I wouldn't have minded. One today gave the tickets to my cousin, who's a huge Fijian Drua fan. Ooh, that will be brutal then, won't it? But that is going to be now penalty going the way of the Fijian Drua. Not too far away from the end of this contest, ladies and gentlemen. For the Drua, maybe it just can't come soon enough. Fabian Holland looks like he's going to continue in this match. Stayed down for a little bit. Made 14 tackles throughout the day. Drua CC is a mistake for both the Drua and Fiji, says Fiji Islander. That's a real Tokyo Tama. Throw this ball in for the Fijian Drua. Now Kitioni Salawa drops it off there. Rough pass to Armstrong Ravula. Yeah, it just seems like the chemistry is a little bit off for the Fijian Drua. And like I mentioned, having 3 fly halves out there on the field now probably isn't going to help that too much. Back across again, Penny Matawalu. Going to Celestina Ravatamanda. Going to be the penalty advantage in favour of the Fijian Drua. Do you think Lee Halfpenny regrets choosing the Satyrs for his overseas stint? The only Kiwi team to miss the finals. Yeah, although he's been injured for a majority of the season too, so I feel like that is another factor that goes into it a bit. Because, like, he played 1 game for them and he looked below average, so he probably would have preferred to go somewhere in Europe and probably get paid about the same, but also at the same time might have a bit more form up against Northern Hemisphere sides. Kicking that one for the touchline again there for the Fijian Drua. If the Drua win against the Rebels, they still have a final. Says Damani, that is true. 12 penalties against the Highlanders in this game compared to the 7 of the Fijian Drua, but the Drua just haven't been able to make the most of the opportunity. The outlier said, why are you not neutral? What do you mean? You say in the shirt? You should see my pants. They are Highlanders track pants. But I'm not going to show you because that might get age restricted. I think Satyrs regret signing Lee Halfpenny, to be honest. Yeah, I think they'd regret signing Johnny McNichol as well. He's been below par all throughout this season. Now advantage is over for the knock-on. Highlanders in position. Kicked him behind from Timothy Tavatava now, and again, fantastic kick from him. Pretty good money though, Hamish. Play 15 seconds. They sit on the sidelines getting paid your contract, says Jason Hamilton. And the Grand League 1 final is on later today, says Amy Guns. They are just showing there the 6th of July, All Blacks versus England. I don't believe you have Highlanders gear, says Simran there. Oh, James Ascott's got a few fans by the looks of it in the stands, which is great news for the young bloke. Used to play a bit of South Canterbury cricket with him. That's about my only call to grace, isn't it? And Al-Salawa says Tamani there. Going back across to the right-hand side. He probably had to hold tackle bags all season, though, says Anoi. Now Matawalu goes off to Celestino Ravatamanda. Tries to pin the ears back, but Jack Taylor has been able to shut him down early. And it just seems like they're lacking that little bit of pace. McNichol been playing good. I think he had 1 good game this season. The rest of them, he's blown try after try after try. He also got a yellow card that cost the Crusaders a game. I believe that was up against Moana Pacifica. But yeah, overall, he's been below par for his season. He had that 1 good game when he won it for them, though. So that's why a lot of people feel like he hasn't done too badly. But overall, the man just can't catch the ball. Where's the Landers top? Says Kylie. It's hidden at the moment. How many Flying Fijians are playing in this Drua team? Says the outlier. I would say probably about 10 in their starting lineup, maybe a little bit less than that. Like, they've got a lot of internationals. It's no different to last year when you'd see the Crusaders starting lineup and they had 13 All Blacks in their side. So we're in Landers' bottom half. Says Annoy, I beg to differ, bro. Oh, you can, but you can also look at where the Crusaders are on the table, and that kind of speaks for itself. When you don't have stability at the back, it can cost you a lot of tries like we've seen throughout the season. And Tien Wells says reflecting trees. He's wearing the Landers' bottom half, says Hanoi. Right, the ball is available again up the Landers, says Kylie. Moving side to side at the moment for the Fijian Drua, but they have still not been able to break their way through. Might as well have a quick look at Johnny McNichol's stats for the season while we are at it. I just looked for a player that you said was out of form. Who we got? It was from where is it? Fiji Islander. Mackenzie's been playing good. Yeah, Mackenzie's been good throughout the season. So we'll have a look at a comparison between Johnny McNichol and Eliza Drua, just for fun. And we'll see how they sit. So in the head-to-head, Johnny McNichol, he's had 8 handling errors throughout the season, which is actually, that's another try. And it's going to be Broughton who busts away. That didn't seem like they should have been able to score there. The Fijian Drua just had themselves possession. At what point between Christchurch and Dunedin do people start burning stuff at house parties? I think it's from Wakawaiti downwards, I would say. Like, that's normally where the fires start. He's had that yellow card, Johnny McNichol, which really did hurt him. I'm surprised that they've only got him down for 8 handling errors. To be honest, he's had about 8 in the last 3 weeks. And basically Dunedin, I just need Drua to score 1 try. Says Tamani there. He has tackle success of 61%, Johnny McNichol. So I think the thing that's influenced me a little bit is the fact that most of the time when he misses a tackle, the opposition score. Like Drua, he's only sitting 65% for his tackle completion. That one's gone over for Gilbert. And that is now going to make the score after 78 minutes, 39-3. The Drua are going to be left tryless if this game continues this way. Yep, try for Broughton. And 39-3, big points. Says Tamani in there as well. Right, Armstrong and Ravola to kick this off. We've hardly actually seen Months. Once again, great commentator. You're actually stopping me getting Stan at the minute. Says Reflecting Trees. Well, thank you very much for popping in. Of course, we've got Super Rugby next week as alongside the URC and the Sevens that are taking place. The Highlanders. This will be great for their points differential, even though it doesn't really change too much for them at this stage of the comp. It's going to be put high, nicely taken by Tamothi. Tava Nawai. Jack Taylor is actually a bloody good player to have on the bench, plays really well. Says Jason, it looks like he's got a fair bit of pace. He actually chased down Ravatamunda before. Now, Jacob Ratamatabuki Nepkins tackled on the halfway line. In fact, the knees weren't down yet. Salawa was trying to hold it in. Drua is useless. If you see him, says Tamani, yeah, he's made a few errors as well. He's made 9 handling errors throughout his season. He's had 704 running meters, though, from only 88 runs. It hasn't actually scored a try as of yet for this season. Now, Broughton, back to his Max Hicks. Look for the offload on the outside. Another advantage to the Highlanders, which will become a penalty. Oh, here we go. Penalty and yellow card. Now, what's the point, Ben? He's decided to give a yellow card to the Fijian Drua with 8 seconds remaining in the game. So, no, it's Eliza Drua with the intentional knock-on at the end. And he will find his way off the field for the final 8 seconds, like I mentioned, of this contest. And that is the siren sounding at the moment. What do? Faliafanga takes the tap. He will boot it into touch, and that is the end of this contest, ladies and gentlemen. A one-sided game in Dunedin. 39 points to 3. The Highlanders have made it into the quarterfinals of Super Rugby. And now it's just that question of who will they be going head-to-head with just around the corner. But nonetheless, I do thank you all very much for tuning into this live stream. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Next week, we are, of course, going to be back with more action taking place in the Sevens world, as well as Super Rugby, as well as the URC as well. But I do thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, be sure to hit that subscribe button, and I will see you all for the next one.